We got JD Pikel's Florida football record prediction for this upcoming season, man. Florida, there's not as much doubt around them going into this season as there was last year. Last year they had the crazy tough schedule they had. They still do have another tough schedule this year. Last year was extremely freaking tough, man, and everybody was like, "It's gonna be like a 3-9 team, 4-8." I never bought into that. I think I predicted their record correctly, which was 7-5. I believe they finished 7-5, didn't they? And I think I predicted 7-5 as well. So I was pretty spot on about Florida last year. I was higher on Graham Mertz than I was anything. I didn't think Lagway was going to play as much as he did. I knew he'd play, but I didn't know he'd play that much. But yeah, I mean, they ended up winning 7 games, I do believe. And yeah, they have a lot of momentum going into this year, bro. I've been hearing a lot of good things about Florida. So, what record do I see them having? I see Florida. I see Florida 8-4, 9-3. I see him sitting around that, bro. I see him sitting, right in the middle there, maybe like a middle of the pack, maybe like slightly upper half of the SEC. Which I think it would be important for Napier. I think this is a big year for Napier. Napier cannot go like 6-6 or worse. He cannot regress from last year. He has to show some improvement. Or else I think Florida fans are just gonna be like, "Yep, you're done." I mean, this is a talented roster they got, so there's no reason why they should regress from last year. For Napier's sake, they cannot regress. But yeah, I'd say 8-4, 9-3, which both are improvements, regular season wise from last year.
Since Billy Napier got the job, you feel like you actually have what you need on paper, at least. Got a quarterback. You also have true returning production, top 20 in America. Only team you're going to play with more returning production than you is Texas A&M. You have leadership. Like, you have guys that have been through what last year was and the year before was, and like have stuck around and actually gone through the hard stuff, and that gives you, I think, a lot of credibility in that locker room. You got dudes to get the football too. I love Jaden Ball in that backfield. I've been very, very vocal about my affection for Dallas Wilson and Michael J. gets already one time. You got Eugene Wilson, Dallas. Like, there's a lot there, to put it simply. There's a lot there. Nashawn Montgomery, a lot of names. You catch what I'm saying? There's real culture. There's less noise around your head coach than there ever has been, I think, since you've been at Florida going into last year.
That is
There's
true.
a lot there to be excited about. And so it's sort of getting into that tier. We talk about like the Uncle Ben tier of great power comes great responsibility. A lot of things on paper comes great expectations. That's kind of where Florida is right now. Now we'll get to the schedule in a second, but that's, I think, really where the disconnect happens for the college football public when we talk about the roster versus what they're going to be from a record standpoint. I don't think anybody is out on Florida at a talent level or a roster level. Where people start to differ is, well, what are they going to do when it comes to the schedule? And we're going to talk about that in a second, but I do want to just
Let's see that schedule, man.
People miss this. He never let it blow up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of points throughout the tenure for him there, even and especially after Texas A&M, where you could have had a lot of guys either mentally hit the portal.
Now, as an LSU fan, when Napier and Brian Kelly were both looking for jobs and LSU got Brian and Napier went to Florida, I liked that at the moment. I didn't really want Napier. And, I'm still right now, I'm glad we went with Brian over Napier, but I didn't think Napier was a bad coach. It's scary getting a coach. For me, when you're at LSU, it's scary getting a coach from the group of 5. That was my only thing about him. And, I figured there was going to be... It's too hard to go from group of 5 to SEC. Too freaking hard. So that right there was why I was out on him. Now, it took a few years for Billy there at Florida, man, but it feels like he's getting things on track. Feels like he's, got Florida in a good spot. So, I still think LSU made the right choice with Brian, but I'm not as hard on Billy as a lot of other people, even though I hate Florida with a burning passion. I'm just keeping it real.
Or in the offseason, literally hit the portal, and give him credit because this team, I never really saw an excess of either to the detriment of what this year is going to be. Like he kept buy-in high, he kept belief high enough. A team that battled for him, after the A&M game and beyond to finish with 7 wins, 8 with the bowl win. Like, I think that speaks volumes to how much true belief there is behind the curtain out there in Gainesville in Billy Napier from a locker room level, which is really all that matters for my money. My question is, how many games is DJ Lagway worth for you? Assuming he's healthy, assuming you get the version you got at the end of last year, how many games is it where, hey, Florida, we don't actually have the talent to go against insert whatever foe you want in the SEC here, but we got number 2? How many of those games is it just, yeah, but he was the difference? Because if it's 2 or 3, the conversation changes drastically of, 1, obviously. I want to preface our record prediction with this. I feel a lot better about my final record for Florida than I do actually picking the literal games, because the games are ridiculous. Florida might be the team that makes the least sense in college football this year. Just full stop.
That was funny.
You get to the end of the year and say, how did they beat that team but lose to that team? I don't know. DJ Lagway, Billy Napier, finding a way, didn't find a way, whatever. Like, I think that's kind of where Florida is this year. So with that preface out of the way, let's break this thing down game by game. Start the year with LIU.
Oh, let me do mine first. Hold on a minute. Okay, so the gray is home. So win, that's 2-0. USF could be a bit tough. They almost beat Bama 2 years in a row. So don't overlook this game right here. And I believe they got, who do they got? Somebody as their head coach. Is it Tennessee's former offensive coordinator? Oh, shoot, bro. I can't. I want to say it is. I just can't remember his name. But I know he's somebody who's pretty prominent. So yeah, 2-0 there. This could be a bit dicey, but 2-0. At Death Valley, bro. Come on now. Come on, dude. Like, last year, y'all got us in the swamp, Florida. You got us in the swamp. But, I just can't go against my Tigers in Death Valley, bro. LSU's got a lot of speed this year. LSU's looking really freaking nice. I think it's going to be a close game. A really close game, but I got to go with LSU there, man. Miami, I think y'all could beat Miami. They boat raced you last year, but I think you could get it done. Oh my god, look at the schedule. I see what he's meaning by, like, getting the final record, feeling better about that than the games that they're gonna lose, because my god. Yeah, no Cam Ward here for Miami. You got Carson Beck. I'm taking Florida in this game. So that's 3-1. That's at home against Texas Archman. I'm giving y'all a loss there. I'm sorry. Marcel Reed versus Lagway on the road at A&M. Oh my god. I mean, that's also very tough. It's gonna depend on Marcel Reed, honestly. I'll go Florida. I'll go Florida, but I'm like 50-50 on that. State win. Georgia at home. No, neutral site. Oh. I'll go with Florida to win this game here too, honestly. I'll go with Florida to win this one. Is that stupid? I think that's pretty stupid. No, it's not stupid. Florida could do it. I mean, I feel like Florida's due, bro. I feel like Florida's due to win this game. I just got a good feeling about Florida this year, dude. I think this will be that one big win. Miami is a big win, but this will be a big win. I think they get Georgia here. Win at Kentucky. Ole Miss could be pretty crazy. Ole Miss could be pretty crazy. I'll give Florida a loss here. I'd give Florida a loss here. You never know with freaking Lane Kiffin, dude. Oh. Tennessee, though. I think they lose one of these two games and they win the other. I think they split these two. And then Florida State, you know, I think that'll be a better game this year than it was last year. Florida State, y'all were putrid. 2 wins, man. 1 against an FCS team. I would give Florida the win here. So that's 9-3, isn't it? 1 loss, 2 loss, 3. No, wait, did I pick them to win this? I think I picked them to win that one. And then Ole Miss or Tennessee. That's 9-3. I could see him losing both of these games. I could see him losing A&M. I could see him losing to dude. They could lose all but like this game right here, and maybe Mississippi State. I feel better about USF beating Florida than I do about Mississippi State, but maybe that'll change. I'm sure it will change. But yeah, other than these 3 games right here, Kentucky can play teams pretty tough. They all, you know, they did last year. Almost beat Georgia last year. They just find a way to keep some games close, and they beat Ole Miss last year too. So that's not a team to overlook. But yeah, this could, you know, this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This could be 7 losses right here if you're not careful between these 4: Tennessee, Ole Miss, Georgia. But I think y'all go 8-4, 9-3. Losses to Miami, losses to LSU, Texas, Ole Miss, or Tennessee.
Quick dub, South Florida, Alex Golish, we love you. But
Alex Golish, that's who it is.
Then you're at LSU. I just think LSU is going to be a wagon this year. Also, it's in Baton Rouge. I know that you got them last year, and honestly, that makes me feel even less confident in you getting them this year. So I think you lose the game at LSU. Then you go to Miami. Now, I think that the fact that Carson Beck will be a first-year starter in that system and will have missed spring practice, I think it'll take a second until
Carson Beck just ain't that good, brother. It's okay to say it.
Totally get acclimated. So the returning production and the fact that you owe them one, I think that gets you a win there. So at that point, you're heading into the bye, and you're sitting there with a nice little 3-1 record. And you play Texas. Texas is also a wagon. I think there's a gap there talent-wise. I think you drop that game. Go to A&M. All right, now this is kind of a swing game of sorts, I think, for you.
Yeah.
But the game at A&M in College Station, what I think about Marcel Reed, I like A&M at home there. So I think you drop that game. You beat Mississippi State. No surprises there. You play Georgia on the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
I got that win.
Now, Georgia's probably the lean here for most folks. I don't even think that's...
Is he going to do it?
To assume that they'll be favored by double digits.
Is he going to do it too?
Possible. Right now, my feeling is I can't unsee the way that game started last year. Because remember, DJ Lagway's dropping a dime to Aiden Mizell, and it's like, oh my gosh, Florida just went up. Are they going to do this? DJ Lagway's incredible, and then DJ Lagway gets hurt, and things kind of fell off the wagon there from Florida. Georgia was just...
Kirby's going to know that, though. Like, the thing, like, it's not going to catch Georgia off guard. Like, Lagway is not going to catch anybody off guard now.
Too much, too deep, and all those things. But Georgia got a first-year starter as well in Gunnar Stockton. I think it's fair to wonder a little bit around what happens for Georgia if DJ Lagway does that again and kind of pushes them into the shootout. The feeling I have around this, whether it's fair or not, remember when Texas kind of gave Alabama that game in the first half when it was Quinn Ewers his first time as the quarterback at Texas and Bryce Young on the other side? Now, Georgia doesn't have Bryce Young, but remember now, like Texas kind of controlled the first part of that game. Quinn Ewers gets hurt, and then the game went to Bama. But the next time they played in Tuscaloosa, like Quinn Ewers kind of finished what he started. I wonder if DJ Lagway, I predict DJ Lagway finishes what he started in the game a year ago. I think Florida, for the first time since 2020, beats Georgia.
JD, my dude, let's go, brother.
All right, so vibes are pretty good from that point
forward. I can't believe we both picked that.
I think you actually do beat Ole Miss. I like Austin Simmons, but I think you get a win against them. Now,
that'd be a hard game,
dude. Georgia
dude.
Win fires you up. You play Tennessee in the swamp, and you're saying, JD, we own Tennessee at the crib. All right, and maybe that's true.
Yeah, he did pick Tennessee to beat Florida in that prediction.
But I can't
Tennessee's
help but
prediction.
feel like how beaten down this Josh Heupel Tennessee team has been this offseason, I think that they're going to play hard for him. I think that Joey Aguilar will have it kind of clicking for him by the end of the season. I think they actually find a way to beat you in the swamp for the first time since 2003. So the Georgia win feels great. Tennessee loss feels probably really weird, but I think you drop that game. I think you finish with a win over Florida State to, finish unbeaten in the state if you're Florida. So that puts you at a record of 8-4. Now, if you're saying, JD, you're wrong, we're going to find a way to win one more of those. We're beating Tennessee, getting 9-3. Cool. Your prerogative. I'm not going to tell you to not consume some optimism during this part of the year. It's your prerogative. I got them 8-4. But if you do get to 9-3, I think the playoff conversation is very legitimate. More legitimate than I think maybe another team.
With that schedule, 100%.
In college football. But roll with me here. If you do finish 8-4, a lot of people right now saying, JD, if they miss the playoff, fire Billy Napier. You're not wrong for having that emotion. I think that reads well on a tweet, but are we sure we want to fire Billy Napier and blow this thing up?
It's still an improvement from last year.
A great job keeping everything intact. Against all odds, against the results, he kind of kept Florida culturally, roster-wise, in a decent spot and found ways to keep taking steps forward. You really want to fire Billy Napier and say, we'll see what happens with DJ Lagway?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you feel...
No. See, I don't think Napier's the best person for that job, but he's certainly not the worst. I think he'll have his... I don't think he'll be a consistently, 10-win coach. I don't think he'll ever get to that point. But I think he'll have his seasons where, Florida's really freaking good. Take a bit of a drop down for a year or two. Have a pretty good season. That's not what Florida wants, but that's where I see him. And, if there's no better candidates out there, that's not the worst thing, because he's keeping you from hitting rock bottom, which, Florida was really bad before Napier.
That way at the end of the year, but I don't think that's probably the move. Let it bake for another year, and you're probably tired of hearing about being patient, but just let it bake for another year. See what the draw is. Because this schedule in itself, it's very difficult to win with this at the level that I think you expect to win at with Florida. If you do, incredible. Build the statue. But I don't know that this is blow up the whole situation worthy given that schedule and given who you have at quarterback. I would let it bake for another year and see where we are in 2 years in the 2026 season. But for me, final record prediction for Florida, 8 wins, 4 losses, and the party rolls on.
Yep. That's about what I would say, honestly. 8-4, 9-3. Again, I think the difference between those two will be whether or not they can win one of the Ole Miss and Tennessee games. If they can win one of those, I think you're getting off pretty good. I think that's splitting that is fair. You could very well lose both of them. You could very well win both of them. I think at Ole Miss is going to be really difficult. By that time, the Ole Miss offense is going to be rolling. Austin Simmons, first-year starter, gonna be more comfortable. So, yeah, it's hard to predict the end of the year games. It's hard to predict any game, but especially the end of the year games, because you just don't know what's going to happen with injuries and, how a player's going to pan out. You just don't freaking know. But yeah, 8-4, 9-3. That's where I could see him. Let me know what you think Florida's record will be this season. Hope y'all enjoyed. Please drop a like, hit that subscribe button if you did, and I will catch you all in the next one, man.